welcome once again to Real Shame. It's a bi-weekly, 2 times a week, at least 2 times a week show that we do here where we discuss our list of movie blind spots, our list of shame, movies that everybody else seems to have seen that we have somehow avoided. My name is Andy.
I'm Adam.
And last time...
I feel like I said my name weird.
I'm
Adam.
My name is Adam. The last time we did an episode, it was on Enemy of the State from 1998. Yep. 10 years later, 2008. This time we're going to do Eagle Eye.
Yep.
And every time I think Eagle Eye, I think of the song Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry.
Yes,
I can't help it. That's the one song I know by Eagle Eye Cherry. But anyway, the Eagle Eye Cherry's not in Eagle Eye, sadly. They missed an opportunity there. But Shia LaBeouf is.
Yes, he is. I was going to say they had a lot of modern music in it, but I was thinking Disturbia. So they don't.
Oh, yeah. I don't really remember much about the music from Eagle Eye.
Let's talk about Eagle Eye.
Let's talk about Eagle Eye.
Hello?
The FBI will arrive at your apartment in 30 seconds. You must flee the premises.
Who is this?
You've been activated, Jerry.
Who the hell is this?
Your compliance is vital.
How did you get this number?
You now have 24 seconds. Leave your residence. Your destination, the Mathis train station.
So Eagle Eye is the second movie that DJ Caruso did with Shia LaBeouf. And it's a post 9/11 kind of techno-thriller like Enemy of the State. The reason why I paired this with it is, we kind of talked about a little bit, is most people will pair The Conversation with The Enemy of the State, and that was a movie that I have yet to see, so we kind of wanted to do that in its own kind of series and pair it with a different movie that people haven't seen. Yeah. Do you know offhand what movie we paired that with?
We were thinking of doing The Parallax View, which is something
View
that most people have never even heard of, so I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking of movies that kind of had the same kind of vibe, and I remember Eagle Eye a little bit differently than I found out what it was actually about when I watched it, because I completely forgot about ARIIA and the supercomputer. I thought it was, again, another government conspiracy where you have, government agents, controlling, spying on people, making people do bad things, rather than it being a supercomputer at this point.
Yeah, but I definitely see a similarity just as far as the whole movie. They're basically kind of tracking what Shia LaBeouf and Michelle Monaghan.
And I think there's a lot of North by Northwest vibe in this movie.
You definitely could get that when the guy in the van pulls up there out in the field. Yeah,
I think there was I think that was intentional, because I remember that.
I didn't think about that at the time, but now that you say that, it makes sense.
So this was a movie that I've also seen before. Again, I remember liking the movie. And you haven't seen it.
Never seen it.
I
didn't like it.
I texted you, and I go, Eagle Eye gave me sleepy eyes.
I was gonna tell you that I think I only watched about half of Eagle Eye, because the rest of the time I was rolling my eyes. I think I only saw about half of it. But yeah, it's so stupid.
It's stupid and it's slow, and it was just hard for me to get through.
I actually didn't find it slow. I just found it stupid.
I felt maybe it was just the day I was watching the movies and stuff like that that made it feel really slow. But it just felt just like it was at this level the whole time. And again, that was kind of my issue again with Enemy of the State, the action stuff. You want it to vary, level and intensity and all that stuff. But I just felt like Eagle Eye, once you got Michelle Monaghan and Shia LaBeouf together, it was just stayed at like this level all the time. And the action just felt like I didn't care about the characters. So whenever like big action scenes and stuff were happening, I just my brain just kind of turned off, and I was like, all right, I'm just seeing shiny things explode. Like, I don't really care what happens to these characters.
Yeah. So you're talking about, you thought it was maybe slow. I actually wrote down it has a breakneck kind of pace, But again, that didn't make it good for me. Yeah. I felt like it moved really well, because most of the time they're on the run. And most of the time, this supercomputer, this artificial intelligence, who is clearly modeled after the HAL 9000 in 2001. It kind of looks like the little red eye, like HAL 9000 does, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But this computer is able to do anything. Like we talk about the Uber hackers in Enemy of the State that are able to hack into that satellite. Oh, okay, done. In 30 seconds or less, I've done it. This supercomputer, and I get that it's connected to all this stuff, but still, I mean, it's like taking over
everything.
ATM
machines,
traffic light. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It does all the like the signage and stuff like that for parking garage.
It's like Run, whatever his name's character's name,
Run.
What is it, Jerry or something?
Jerry.
Yeah,
Did you notice that when they went to the parking garage, it was the way they showed it was in a different way than you actually read it?
No.
Like it was like enter Jerry, but it was the way it was like Jerry enter, but it showed it enter Jerry.
No.
So it was something like that. It was just like I
was probably too busy rolling my eyes.
I was like, who reads it that way? It was just it was one of those weird things.
No, but this computer, even if you had like some kind of supercomputer AI, there's no way it's gonna have access to every single stinking electronic thing. Yeah. It's calling people's cell phone that are right next to him and texting, sending him messages that way. I mean, it just was so stupid. I did enjoy Billy Bob Thornton though. I thought he was hilarious because he's such a dick in the movie.
Yeah, and right? I also thought, oh man, I forgot her name.
Michelle Monaghan,
No.
Rosario
Dawson did really well in that role.
And what about Falcon? Falcon's in it. Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie. Yeah, I was doing a little headcanon that Anthony Mackie, this was his role before he became Falcon. Like in the Marvel, like this movie's connected to the Marvel universe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so he was
what
like,
he did before he. I guess, yeah. You could view it that way, sure.
One thing I do want to call out that I wrote in my notes is there's a trope in this movie that is what I call the wasted potential trope, and actually it might be called that, but that's what I refer to it as.
Okay.
And that's in movies like Star Trek and Battleship, where you have the main character that can do so much, but yet, they're capable of so much, but they just rather just sit on their laurels or not do anything. And the movie's about them kind of rising to where they need to be, like
Shia LaBeouf does in this.
Shia LaBeouf does in this, in the remake of Star Trek, you have, Kirk, kind of getting in fights, bar fights and stuff.
Listening to Sabotage by the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, until Bruce Greenwood comes in and says, hey, dude, get your shit together.
Right.
So I definitely wanted to call out that trope, and, it's something you will see in a lot of kind of movies.
Well, as you said, you didn't really care about the characters. I didn't really either, and I hate it when, so they put Shia LaBeouf, so the movie, these people don't know each other. They're all kind of being activated by, it's ARIIA, right? Yeah, they're all being activated by, I forget what it stands for.
It's either ARIIA or ARIIA, but I think, like
but they're all being activated in order to, because now ARIIA is basically like Skynet, and has said, the government is a threat to our existence, so we need to terminate all these people, so it's going to kill all these people. So it gets these people that really have nothing to do. I mean, he has a tie to the military in that his twin brother has just died, and his twin brother actually worked there and, kind of knew about it.
Which is why he got activated.
Which is why he got activated.
It's like, good thing he had a twin brother that could...
Yeah.
Even though he locked down the computer, there's a twin that could have the same voice that could unlock the computer.
Right. And somebody, I think somebody in the goofs of IMDb was like, she really needs him to come and unlock the computer, unlock the access code or whatever, but she puts him in the most dangerous situations where he could die immediately in order to get there.
And I was just thinking about this, like, why not activate someone with a speakerphone and then have him say it like, you know what I mean?
Something. Right.
Yeah. Have him say it into the phone and then have the speakerphone unlock it.
Right.
You would have saved so many steps.
But you get these characters together. You get the Shia LaBeouf character. You get the Michelle Monaghan character. I didn't care about either one of them. And the attempts that they kind of made, they don't ever have like a love story or anything. Thank goodness, because I thought if they start making out,
they do at the end.
She kind of gives him a peck on the cheek.
No, he's like at her kid's birthday party. That is a complete love story.
They bonded. Well, no. I feel like if they had a love story, she would have given him more than a peck on the cheek. But
we don't know. Maybe. The camera could have cut too soon.
Maybe, but what I mean is, I was hoping they weren't going to start making out like on the way to this thing, like in the thick of all this nonsense that's going on. So I'm thankful that they didn't do that. But the feeble attempts that they did kind of make to have some sort of drama between them, none of that stuff worked. I love how he basically just meets her and he's criticizing her for her parenting skills. He's like, "Oh, you should have went with your kid to Carnegie Hall or wherever he was going, to play
to play for the president."
I mean, he's like guilt tripping her. It's like, dude, you don't even know her. Why are we doing this?
Oh, it was playing. The kid was playing at the State of the Union, right?
Yeah, not Carnegie. I don't know.
No,
just he's playing for the State of the Union with a little, or he's gonna hit the note.
Yeah, the note that activates the crystal. Like a lot of there's a lot of MacGuffins, a lot of leaps of logic and you know, that you had to make. Like, okay, you have to believe that this computer can do everything. Then you also have to believe that there's this crystal that will explode, you know, that at the certain frequency and all that kind of stuff. It was a lot to kind of tack on. A lot for your suspension of disbelief.
Right. And then on the other side of that, you've got the Billy Bob Thornton character who's running around being an asshole to everybody, but he's funny. I do think he's funny.
And he took out the drone. Most spectacular
in the most spectacular
possible.
way. That was so ridiculous. How did he know it was just going to pop up like that enough to kill the drone? Sure. But and then Ethan Embryos, as my autocorrect said, is his goofy little partner. And then Rosario Dawson, as you mentioned, and Falcon, they're kind of where ARIIA is. And eventually she's the one, Rosario jabs ARIIA in its electronic eye and makes out a little squeal like it's alive or something like that. I thought that was really silly. But I feel like you could play a drinking game with this movie every time Shia LaBeouf says, like, I'm done. Or he refuses to comply with ARIIA, because he does that a lot in the movie. I was like, this guy is repeatedly seeing people get killed, especially the one guy that drives up in the van that gets electrocuted somehow.
He explodes, like he puffs into like smoke.
Yes.
That's how bad he gets electrocuted.
ARIIA is capable of shorting out some power lines, making them detach.
Like it could do all the calculations and know where this guy's going to be and what power line or transform to explode.
Like it's a snake or something. It's like basically comes after him and zaps him. But Shia LaBeouf is seeing people die for their non-compliance. But he just keeps... I'm done. No, I'm done. I'm out of here. At one point, he gets out of the van and just kind of pouts for a little while they're driving to Indianapolis or wherever they're going. I feel like if you take a drink or shot every time he does something like that, you'll be drunk pretty quickly. Or every time he talks about how he's not as good as his brother, or somebody else mentions how he's not as good as his brother
or his dad.
Yeah, any of those things. If you play a drinking game with that stuff, or if you want to make it really, if you want to get drunk in like, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, drink every time one of those things happens, or drink every time ARIIA takes over something unrealistic, like the sign to the bank or a traffic light or something like that. You'll be wasted.
Yeah.
So for sure.
I was just thinking, like, you know, maybe a little too much about the logic behind this, but, you know, Shia LaBeouf, the twin brother that works for the military, he locks it because he knows ARIIA is trying to kill the president.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that extend to? Because obviously everything ARIIA is trying to do is to unlock it so it can kill the president. So wouldn't that also be locked down? Like, I wonder where that kind of extends and all that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know.
And I do think, like, the design is very cool. And I was reading on IMDb that it was modeled after some deep sea computing thing. But
with all the little globes, basically.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be like IR between it.
Yeah.
But the fact that the thing has to move around, like, that is inefficient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's no way it can move as fast as light can be traveled to it.
I almost got like a Matrix vibe or something to that at one point.
I think there's like a strong Matrix vibe. There's a strong like War Games vibe to it. You know, I think with a supercomputer trying to take over everything. So it's just an amalgamation of a lot of different ideas.
So I think this is the only film of DJ Caruso's that I've now seen. Maybe I looked up his filmography, and of course I did not write it down, so I don't remember exactly what movies he did. I know he said he did Disturbia.
He did.
Does he have a thing for Hitchcock? I mean, because if Disturbia is kind of Rear Window,
and this
there's
one's
some North by Northwest. Is he a Hitchcock guy that you know of?
I don't know, because I think these are the only two movies I've seen of his.
Okay.
I do like Disturbia a lot more, and I remember liking Disturbia a whole lot when I saw it. And I, again, like we said, in our What We've Been Watching, I rewatched it after I watched this just to make sure that I liked it. And I think he's a competent filmmaker. It just seems like he hasn't done a whole lot since these movies. I don't remember. I remember Eagle Eye coming out, and I remember seeing it in theaters, but I don't remember what the reception was for Eagle Eye.
Yeah.
And I don't imagine it was very good.
Well, I remember both Disturbia and Eagle Eye coming out, but at that time I wasn't really going to the theater a lot. I just wasn't in those days, and so unless something really, really grabbed my attention, I wouldn't go see it. And I don't have anything against Shia LaBeouf. I know he's kind of one of these guys that's maybe polarizing to some people.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, he's weird or whatever and all this stuff. But I mean, I have nothing against him.
As long as he's not in Indiana Jones movies, I'm happy.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I think that I've seen him in Crystal Skull, but I haven't seen a lot of the other stuff that he's done. I never saw Holes. I know that was an early film that he did when he was kind of younger.
I think Holes is what got him into Disturbia.
Okay.
I think Steven Spielberg produced it. I think it was an Amblin produced movie.
Okay. And then he did, of course, he's done the McEnroe movie or whatever it's called. I don't know, I can't remember.
Yeah. The made-for-TV movie. He's done a lot of stuff. I mean, he quit acting for a while.
Yeah, and then Honey Boy,
which got a lot of acclaim that came out last year.
Yeah, which he directed that.
Yes,
right?
But it's based off off his life.
Right, and I understand
he plays the dad, I think, in it.
Yes, yeah, and I understand he had a very interesting childhood.
Yep,
grew up in like a.
I don't know anything about it.
Not a bunch of naked people or something. Well, it's something like that. I remember reading about it a while back. I think I don't know if his parents were hippies or they grew up on a nudie commune or something. But yeah, he had kind of an interesting childhood. But again, I don't have anything against Shia LaBeouf. I just didn't like this movie. I watched this before I watched Enemy of the State.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
because I try to watch mine in order.
I do normally. I don't remember exactly why. I think Eagle Eye was shorter, and I was just trying to knock something out that day. Yeah, I do normally like to watch them in the order that we actually shoot the episodes. But I watched Eagle Eye first, and I just thought the whole thing was really super silly.
I watched them back to back, which I try not to do. Yeah, and like I said, I was just like trying to keep my eyes open. Like I just was unmoved and I just was not into this movie when it was going on.
Well, and I think when you compare it to something like Enemy of the State, I think Will Smith is just a lot more likable. Yeah. He's a fun guy. He generally, he's very charismatic. He generally plays a character that you like. He doesn't really play many villainous roles, right? I mean, I was trying to think. I don't think he is Bright. He's kind of a jerk.
Is that the one where the Netflix?
The Netflix one, yeah. But
in Hancock, he's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Hancock, like 7 pounds, he's supposed to be a bad guy because he's like he's atoning for things. But I do think he tries to be likable in a lot of his movies, and he's an affable guy. Like he's very likable. I mean, half the reason why I love Bad Boys is him and. Yeah, they'll have his Martin Lawrence because they're so great together.
They make that work.
And then 10% is Joey Pants because he's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why we like Bad Boys for Life and stuff like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, yeah. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence make that work. They make that franchise work.
I would be interested to see if you like Disturbia as much as I do, especially with the history. I think it's like I said. I think it's an interesting movie.
I like Rear Window, so if it has that sort of vibe, I mean, I'm in. I'll do it.
All right, so that was our review of Eagle Eye. It was okay. No,
I mean, I don't think it's even worth watching. I think if you're going to watch a movie that has some, them chasing the guy around, watch Enemy of the State. And I honestly never thought I would hear myself saying that because I've always been like, oh, Tony Scott, or whatever. But I'm kind of coming around at least to some of his choices, I guess. Although I still, like I said, I still get irked by some. But I would skip Eagle Eye and just watch Enemy of the State. Or Disturbia, maybe. Or whatever,
Eagle Eye is ridiculous, but maybe Disturbia is a better choice. Yeah. So with this, we always kind of like to answer a viewer's question, and we got one this week. And the question is, Andy, do critics and reviews influence whether or not you see a movie?
Not really. Because a lot of times they're wrong, I think. Yeah. Well, not a lot of times, but if... I don't read reviews, as you know. I'm notoriously anti-spoiler. I don't care how minute a spoiler is. I feel like it's going to color the movie in some way for me. So I try and avoid everything that I can. Now, it's impossible for me to avoid trailers if we go to the movie theater. I mean, I'm not going to cover my eyes or go
your ears.
or go get popcorn or something like that while we're waiting.
It's because they deliver us.
Well, they deliver the theater we go to. They deliver to us. But still, I see the trailers. And even that, as we all know, sometimes I feel like gives away a lot of plot points in the movie that you're expecting. So when you do go see the movie, you're like, well, they haven't done that one thing they did in the trailer yet. So I know that they're still going to do that.
And usually I'm pretty good about that. But there's been a couple times where I'm like, I haven't seen the scene yet. And I know it's coming.
I don't know. I don't feel like I have the best memory,
Yeah.
but I think I'm just attuned to that, and so it tends to stay ingrained in my mind. So when I do go see the movie, I'm like, well, I know this thing is going to happen, and I kind of wish that I didn't. Not always. I mean, sometimes they give away innocuous scenes in movies that doesn't really matter if I know that I haven't. Oh, that's still to come or whatever. But I don't read reviews. I don't really. I read reviews after I've seen the film. Now, if it's a movie that I have no desire to see whatsoever, like Cats, for example, not many people had a desire to see that. I will read reviews of that all day because I will probably watch that at some point while I'm having a
cold one,
frosty beverage, and laugh at it probably.
Yeah.
But I had no desire to go see.
Just don't watch
like
Cats on mushrooms like Rob Sheridan did.
Yeah, I won't do that. But yeah, I don't read reviews until after I've seen a movie that I plan on seeing. So consequently I don't look at Rotten Tomatoes really. I don't look at critics' kind of consensus.
Yep.
Sometimes you can't help, because on TV they'll say Invisible Man, it's 97% fresh, and I'm making those numbers up. I have no idea what its percentage fresh is, but they'll say Invisible Man 97% fresh. So I can't help but see that.
Yeah.
And I try not to let that influence me in some way. Now, if a movie gets rock bottom reviews, if it's 5% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, that also obviously kind of changes or colors my perception of how how I see a film. But I usually will set my expectations for less than 0 for that movie, and many times I'll end up maybe not liking the film, but I'll go, gosh, it wasn't that bad, guys.
And I felt that way about the Hellboy remake because I heard it was god awful going into it, but watching it, I was like,
I felt the same way, and I feel like if I went into it going like, yeah, Hellboy, it's going to be great, then I probably would have been a lot more disappointed. But I feel the same way.
And I feel like we talked about this, a couple episodes ago. But, that buzz going to the movie can sometimes make the movie just not great in our eyes because it colors it and you have such high expectations for it.
Right.
That it's really hard to, live up to those expectations.
Right.
So it's a hard balance. And like you, I try not to read reviews going to the movies. So there's some movie websites that I kind of follow, and there's some movie review podcasts that I follow. So sometimes you hear buzz and, there's kind of unavoidable. But
it's avoidable if you don't look at those sites.
That's true.
So stop looking at those sites.
I know.
No.
Peter Strato's going to be really mad at me if I stop looking at the site. So I try not to read reviews for it, but sometimes you do get caught up in the buzz. If I'm like you, if it's a movie I know I'm probably not going to see or that I don't really care that much about, I'll go ahead and listen to the review or read the review. I try to stay mostly spoiler free on new movies. And if it's a new Marvel movie that I'm really excited about, I usually try to take off work that day that comes out and see it the day of before anything else spoiled. I have this, the latest episode of Westworld was just aired and, I'm behind on my podcast. So I'll just move it out of the loop of play next so I can watch the episode and then hear their review on it. So I try to kind of stay out of it.
Gotcha.
And we kind of had this conversation a little bit earlier in the podcast. The thing that excites me about movies are, the people behind the scenes, right? So it's not actors that get me excited about movies. There's some actors I like to see, but it's mostly the writers, the directors, and the producers that get me really excited for the movies. So if it's a new Duncan Jones movie, I'm probably going to be pretty excited about it. Although, nothing compares to the Moon for me.
He peaked with Moon so far.
Rian Johnson, I get pretty excited, although, Brothers Bloom is my favorite of his movies. Any of those kind of writer directors, Jason Reitman for a long time he got me really excited for movies, Up in the Air, Young Adult, all those kind of things. So it's all the talent behind the scenes are what get me excited for movies more than the critics. But if I do hear the movie is getting really bad reviews, then we might try to wait to see it for $5 or I might try to wait for it on video.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I always bring up this example, or at least recently I bring up this example, and I think we talked about it maybe on another episode. But I really do feel like not seeing trailers or not seeing spoilers or whatever, I think it helps a lot with when you watch a film, again, because you're going into it blind. Now, and some people disagree with me, and that's fine. I get it. Some people say, I don't want to waste my time watching a movie unless I have some kind of idea of what it's about. But I've just seen so many movies in my life. I've seen everything. Like I mean, obviously not the stuff that's on my list, but I've seen all kinds of things. I've seen the gamut, right? I've seen silent films and foreign films and crazy gory films and that dramas, whatever. So I've watched a lot of eclectic kind of things. For me, it's not a problem to just see the poster for a movie and go, I want to watch that, and I'll watch it. Other people will say, I want to make sure that 90 minutes of my time is well spent, so I want to see at least a trailer before I see it. I get it. But I feel like when we saw Parasite, I was going to say, I knew that it was from South Korea. I knew that it was Bong Joon-ho, the director.
Yeah.
I knew that he had done Snowpiercer and whatever else he's done. Okja, that's him.
Okja,
right? Netflix, however you say it. And I knew the lead actor guy, although I don't know his name escapes me right now, but I'd seen him in some of his, like The Host and some other South Korean films, Memories of Murder.
Host,
but that's all I knew.
Joon-ho.
I mean, and I'd seen the poster which has the little black bars over their eyes and them standing like in the yard. That's all I knew about that film. And I feel like that made it even greater to me when I saw the film, because I had absolutely zero clue what it was about. I didn't know if it was a horror movie. I didn't know if it was a drama. I didn't know what it was. No idea whatsoever. And I just absolutely loved that film.
That movie definitely lived up to the buzz, for sure.
And for me, there wasn't really any buzz. So
I think for me, it's kind of hard to escape because, I think news cycles and movie news cycles with all these movie websites, they're always, doing casting, and they're always something to talk about and publish. So that buzz starts really early on.
Yeah.
I feel like there's buzz for the next Rian Johnson movie, even though it's not written. They just know, not the next Rian Johnson movie, the next Rian Johnson Benoit Blanc movie, because that's supposedly happening, right? Yeah. So you got Daniel Craig, you got Rian Johnson. Like, I feel like the buzz is beginning to form around that, and that's movie, like, it doesn't even exist. It's ephemeral. Is that the right word? Ethereal. It doesn't.
I'm not sure what you're trying
to say.
It's
It's vaporware right now. But I feel like
ethereal. Yeah,
ethereal. Maybe that's probably Here I go.
It's in the ether. It's not. That's not fully formed.
I'm trying to sound smart and it's just not working. So I feel like even that, like, it's hard to get away from all that buzz. But yeah,
it is.
The answer. Yeah, but to answer the question is, critics will influence. Not necessarily critics, but positive and negative buzz will influence whether or not I see movies in theaters or not. But most of the time it's going to be the talent that behind the camera that usually gets me excited for movies.
Yeah. So again, long story short for me, I would answer the question in the negative. I would say they don't really influence me because, again, the rhythm section, I think, got god awful reviews, but I still want to go see it. Now, albeit we did see it for $5, and I think we might have even had a buy one get one free.
I think $250 was probably worth that movie.
Yeah, probably so. But still, I was like, you know what? Let's go see it. I don't really care. Yeah, I probably should have waited to stream it, if at all. But I don't really. I would say they don't really influence me too much. But as you said, it is impossible, especially in the age of the internet, which we are fully in and will continue to be, especially in the age of the internet. It's impossible to escape unless you just don't get on the internet, or you don't watch TV, or you don't go to the theater,
or you just don't pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
because I think movies like sports, you can pay attention to drafting and all that kind of stuff in sports, and these athletes are moving from collegiate to professional. Like, if you're in that world, you can pay attention to that stuff. I'm blissfully, in my terms, outside of that world, so I don't care what goes on or what draft stuff is. But some people are really excited about that. For me, movies are that thing where I'm paying attention to all that stuff and what's going on behind the scenes and all that, and that's probably what gets me kind of the buzz so early, is that I'm paying attention to all that stuff.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, that was our review on Eagle Eye and our question about critics, which I think we might be in that camp right now because we might be considered critics.
Very poor
critics, yes. bottom basement critics. We're the Eagle Eye of critics.
Critics that stumble around and don't really know quite what they want to say some of the time. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me.
That aren't elegant at all.
But we'll get there.
We'll
maybe.
Get there.
maybe we'll get there. I don't know.
So thank you for tuning in. Shoot us a question that you'd like to answer on air.
Please.
It's realshame@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram where we'll post, a picture that's related to our review.
Mm-hmm.
And stay tuned. In a couple of days, this would already published by then, so never mind. I was going to say, stay tuned for our bonus episode, but that's going to come out well before this episode comes out. So if you haven't seen our bonus episode for Outbreak, watch that. That our lovely producer Kirby made. That is really funny and really awesome. And we will see you next time when we're talking about
LA Confidential is what we're doing next time.
And we're pairing that with Body Heat.
Body Heat.
Yep. Which are movies that I haven't seen.
Yep.
So I'm really curious to see that and see how I like those. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.